My name is Samy. I'm a business administration student at KU Leuven. I went to Bilkent University last year for my exchange. I chose Bilkent University for a few different reasons. One, Turkish culture is a very warm culture, and I had Turkish neighbors, so I already kind of knew what Turkey was like. It's also a very budget-friendly place, which is also very important to me. And also because it's a less popular destination, I think, for most of my colleagues. So I kind of wanted to go out of the box and do something different than most people. So regarding the Turkish language, it is very different from French or English or any of the Belgian languages, Dutch, German. But the good thing was the first week we arrived in Turkey, we immediately had a 1 week of Turkish classes, 4 hours per day. So that was very, very helpful. Other than that, most people do not speak English. So yes, if you're not Turkish, getting used to Turkish is pretty difficult, yes. So the level of the courses are very similar to KU Leuven. They also use Pearson Education, for example, for the slides. So in that sense, it was all okay. The good thing was the courses were more rewarding in the sense that if you understand the courses and you study, you get good grades. While in KU Leuven, even if you follow and even if you study, sometimes you won't get the result you hope for. But in general, the quality of the course is the same as KU Leuven, and I would say even the quantity is more. There's always work, but it is always rewarding in the end. At least for me, it has been. So the way the courses work in Bilkent University is actually, it was very refreshing to see. Most courses had assignments, had group works, had midterms, and had a final exam. So if you do less on one of these, you always have a chance to catch up on the next one. And personally, I really like that. Even though it is a lot of work, you never really felt left out or felt behind, in the sense that you have to do so much work in one go. No, because every time you pass an evaluation for one thing, it doesn't end up in the next assessment. So for example, I had a class managing consulting projects where I had group work 3, where I also had 4 assignments. I also had a final exam, and even in-class participation was quoted for my final grade. The accommodation was one of the biggest benefits that drew me to Turkey. Actually, from the beginning onwards, the university and their international office, they really took care of us. So we knew that there was subsidized housing for international students. There were 3 or 4 different grades of rooms, and even the most expensive one was had a very democratic price. Everything works through email, so before you arrive in Turkey, you will already have your accommodation, and with that also the restaurant where you're gonna eat, the vending machines in your building. So for the accommodation, it's actually one of the things you should not worry about if you go to Bilkent. So at KU Leuven, we have the opportunity to go on exchange twice. Obviously, I want to do something new, so I would not necessarily go back to Bilkent, but if I could go back to, for example, Istanbul or the Black Sea region, I definitely would. It's a different experience, and the country is so big. There's a reason it's called Small Asia, Anatolia, so I would definitely go back to the country. So there's definitely one very bad thing, and that is mandatory attendance. I'm a bit of a sleepyhead, so I like to, take my time for everything, especially in the morning. But unfortunately, there's quotas in most classes, quotas of 70 to 80%. So if you fall below that, unfortunately, you get an F immediately, which translates to a 0 in KU Leuven. And it's, yeah, very, very annoying because, for example, a class corporate finance, I was sitting on a 19 out of 20, but my attendance was 2% off the limit. So at the end of the semester, it was basically, if I miss one class, I have a 0. If I go to all the classes, I have a 19. Fortunately, I did go to the classes, but that was something very annoying, and it also prohibited me from visiting more countries, neighboring countries, and more cities. Regarding Bilkent University, I think I was pretty well informed about everything it had to offer. The only thing that would have been a deal breaker for me back then was the mandatory attendance. If I had known that it would have been this strict, I might have looked elsewhere. But in the end, I still think it's worth it because you keep a healthy rhythm, with classes and extracurriculars. And it forces you, to stay up to date so that you don't have too much work at the end of the semester. My advice to future students that want to go to Bilkent is make sure you check your inbox at all times. Make sure you're up to date with your emails. There's so much information. There's also, unfortunately, a few deadlines. But if you respect these deadlines, you will have accommodation, you will have everything you need. You won't have to do any work when you arrive in Turkey. You can do everything beforehand, but that is obviously if you keep your stuff together in Belgium and do all of your administrative work here. If you go to Turkey, make sure you pack your favorite spices, and also please do not forget your favorite cornflakes, since they have different cornflakes in Turkey. But that's about it.